Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast. This is Bruce Hutchin, host and executive producer. Each week you will hear tips, techniques, strategies, and personal stories from some of the best and funniest whitetail hunters in North America. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, tell a friend on social media. If not, tell me and I'll make it better. Thanks for listening, folks. This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 425. Hey, folks, coming up is Branden Labrum with Scout to Hunt. What is Scout to Hunt? Well, it's a unique app that's going to be available, and it's up and running right now, but it's going to be available soon as a mobile app, and it's available right now to your PC. And what does it do? Well, when you become a member of Scout to Hunt, it'll tell you the type of game, the quality of game, in Unit 501. Just pick a big game management unit someplace in the West. They're covering in a lot of states in the West, and they put people literally on the ground. Yes, they get people setting trail cameras. So if you're hunting elk in 501, then you're going to see what kind of elk are coming into that water hole, coming into that field, that park. And with that, you're going to gain confidence. It's going to save you time. Branden Labrum and his crew have developed a great app called Scout to Hunt. Listen up. I think you're going to find it informative. Hey, folks, Bruce Hutchin, your host at Whitetail Rendezvous. I'm excited to have Branden Labrum on. Who's Branden Labrum? He's Scout to Hunt. What's all about? Well, a good friend of mine, Sam Ayers, gave me a call the other day and said, hey, you need to get these guys on your show. And Sam, if you don't know, it has Living Country in the City podcast, and he's a country boy deep in the heart of L.A. So, Sam, a shout out to you. Hey, so Branden, let's talk about Scout to Hunt and how that can be applicable to guys and gals who are living in the Midwest. They're whitetail hunters, and they want to come out west. So what's your tool going to do for them?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me on, Bruce. I appreciate it. So in a nutshell, Scout to Hunt is a new research tool for big game in the West, where hunters from distance, states that they can't get boots on the ground as much as they want, or they just have time constraints or financial constraints, they're able to optimize their research before they go scouting, if they can, before the hunt, in order to help them know where to put in for draws, and after they get tags, where to really focus their scouting efforts. And the way they're able to do this is with the hard data, hard proof that we provide them, or that they are able to gather through our platform, which is trail camera images. So they're able to see the actual game and where they're being spotted at, and where they're able to focus their efforts from there.
So I'm, Bruce Hutchin. I live in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I've always wanted to hunt elk. So, I got a couple of bucks and I got a couple of buddies, and we're going to come elk hunting in Colorado. So how can your resource help me specifically, one, figure out where I should put in for tag? Because, you and I know, and we talked about it in the warm-up, there's a lot of companies out there saying, hey, here's the odds, here's this, here's that, and they all do a really great job of it. But now I'm sitting here saying, okay, I want to hunt in Colorado, and I want to take a 300 bull. So walk me through how Scout to Hunt can help me find out where I need to hunt. Forget about hunting. Just let's start off first. What units, big game management units, would be applicable to my goal of getting a 300 bull?
Yeah, exactly. Great question. And just the premise that we due to our intensive system, we're not quite into Colorado yet. At the moment, we're focused on our coverage consists of Utah, Eastern Nevada, and Northern Arizona, but we do hope to expand out to Colorado. So in this example,
so just use Utah. Yeah, just use Utah then.
Okay,
wherever
perfect.
wherever you have the data. And by the way, good luck during a tag in Northern Arizona.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point. Okay, we'll go with Utah. So if you're looking to see where to apply your scouting efforts and what units to focus on, you're able to log in as a member to our platform, and you're able to explore this map. We have these really high resolution, highly detailed topographic satellite maps to help you with your planning as well. But all across these maps are all the locations that game have been spotted through our comprehensive private network of trail cameras. So you're able to identify with the unit boundaries that we have on the maps which units are holding the best game. So if you're looking to see where you should put in for, you can go ahead and spend your time researching and finding, going through these locations and these images and seeing for yourself, right? It's not just numbers, it's not hearsay. It's actual hard proof, hard data that you're seeing for yourself that that game is actually in that unit. That unit's holding that particular type of game. So if you're looking for that, that 300, and you're searching through these units and you find a few images of game that are meeting your criteria, then you'll know which units to focus on from there and narrow your search. So you're using your limited time very efficiently.
Okay, if I understand, you're going to show me high resolution pictures of a 300 bull on the ground.
Right. If that unit is holding a 300 bull and you see that picture of it, then you know that that bull is in that unit and in that area.
Now, so who does that? Are we using trail cameras? Do you have guys spending weekends, or how do you
Yeah,
collect that
yeah.
hard data?
100%. So it's a full time. So we have the backbone of Scout to Hunt is our field team experts, and they have decades and decades of experience of guiding and hunting behind them. They're the ones who are out running every day, so 24/7 practically, um, placing these trail cameras, rotating the trail cameras, uh, and rotating them according to optimal game locations, optimal environments. If an area isn't holding any game or isn't nothing's popping up, they'll move them accordingly. But they're the ones who are out there placing the cameras and then retrieving the data and sorting them as well. And then just give you an idea of how much work, how much volume that they're dealing with based on our expansive coverage. They're sorting through about 50,000 images per day on average.
Oh my
Um,
goodness!
yeah, it's a ton. I mean, just to kind of give you a perspective of how much coverage, how many locations there are out there. Um, they're sorting through that many images, which kind of narrows down to about 3,000, around 3,000 plus images, the quality images, I should say, informative images that get uploaded to the platform that you would be able to see when you log in as a member.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, that's a heck of a lot of work. And listeners, everybody's running trail cameras on their farms, um, public or private ground that they get access to, and you get 100 images. That's a lot to scroll through. It takes a while. I can't conceive 3,000 high quality images of you know uh, you know, right now the bulls would be in velvet, and of course the cows and the calves, and you want to see a balanced herd, just like in whitetail land. You don't want to see all does and fawns. You want to see some bucks thrown in there. And
Right.
can you give the buck to doe ratio or buck to cow, bull to cow ratio off your stuff, off your data?
That's a really good question. I don't have those numbers on me, um, but they do focus. So they are focused on the bulls and the bucks. Obviously, out here it's mule deer, and then the bulls for the elk. They do have a very balanced ratio from what I've seen when I go into the platform and check out some of the locations. But I don't have an actual exact number on that ratio. So that's a good question.
Yeah, because that's one thing you do want to do. 22, 100, probably throughout Colorado, in some of the places that have a lot of private land, it can be higher than that. I know a couple of areas. I mean, there's as many bulls as there is cows, and they're all broken up. I mean, there's a couple of units in Colorado, they're just busted, and they're busted because they're frustrated. A bunch of
Right.
frustrated guys, and they're fighting all the time. Because they just can't. There isn't the competition is fierce for that doe and estrus, or cow and estrus. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
let's take a little journey, and folks, we're going to have Brendan walk through his website at Scout to Hunt. Go ahead, Brandon, hit it.
Perfect. Let me pull that up for you here. You able to see that?
Yeah, I can see that. And listeners, this is video, and I know the podcast is audio. I'm going to have this when the show is posted. The link to this uh, video or this part of the show will be embedded in the show notes, so you will be able to see this. And as Brendan talks through it, you got the mic.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, our website's at scouttohunt.com. And it's really straightforward. And we are planning on getting more um, information on here for you guys. But the the site really just kind of digs into the platform, what we call the advanced scouting platform. Um, and what's really, really cool and what we're trying to accomplish with this is that, I mean, the bulk of Scout to Hunt is providing you that unit information. So your unit research, even before you start scouting is optimized so you know where to focus. And that's so the bulk of that is those images and the locations and the volume of locations that you're able to explore and analyze. But we've also been fortunate enough to utilize leading edge technology, as it says on the site, where we have super high resolution maps. And if you're a avid hunter, you know that Google Maps is a no brainer. And this will kind of blow you away with the resolution that you have on our satellite imagery, how close you can get, and the detail you can acquire for the terrain. So you're not only getting information of game movements and what the units are holding, but you're also familiarizing yourself with the terrain. We provide images of that. We provide the topographic maps, 24K maps. So you're really able to figure out not only where to focus, but how that terrain is. So you're prepared for that when you actually do get time to do boots on the ground.
Do you use drones at all?
That's a great question. We we are planning on using those for terrain familiarization. That's interesting that you brought that up because we are working on that. If for anybody who is a member, and if you aren't a member, you can use the free trial to dig in and see what it's like. But as it shows here on the website, right here, there's typically a header image for each location, so you can get an idea of what the terrain looks like, where that game is being spotted, where that location is. And what we want to do with that as well is get drone footage of the terrain. So obviously, it's not for game or anything like that, but so you can really get a really good look at what that terrain is like before you head out there. And that drone footage is going to be really helpful with that.
Yeah, in most, if not all states, you cannot use drones for hunting. We're not talking about that, folks. We're talking about scouting, either in the wintertime, looking to get a jump on where the heck the sheds are going to be, or when the bachelor groups are up, and so you can cover in the right area. You can, with the drone equipment they have today, you can really cover a lot of land. And you can read a top map, you can do the Google Earth thing, but unless you get on the ground, you never know what the heck you're facing, because you could be going into a box canyon and just didn't see it. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Obviously, there's with the high resolution maps that we provide, there's a lot of information you can get, but it's always best to actually see it from a real perspective and not just aerial imagery or satellite. So with that drone uh, co- coverage of the terrain, you'll be able to get that real perspective and depth of what the area actually looks like. And you can utilize that to plan your route, plan where you want to go start glassing. Once you get boots on the ground, what are good optimal locations to glass and to scout and prepare from there.
Yeah, as we talked in the warm up of the pre-show, Brendan, I love what you're thinking here, and I will give a shout out for Go Hunt, where I wrote a lot of profiles for them. Great guys and gals over there. And when the research that they have, it's it's dated, unless you update it every single year, and that's just the way it is. So how are you going to update your game management unit um, info for bulls and for bucks?
Yeah, great question, and that's kind of the the real idea that we're focusing on with Scout to Hunt is providing up to date data, current data, intel is what we call it, um, for you to base your planning and scouting on, and that comes from the hard data that our network of trail cameras uh, captures. So you're able to those are they're constantly being recovered, and that's a year round thing. So there's so many applications for this. Whether you're doing your unit research before you put in for draws, whether you already have tags, whether it's postseason and you're getting prepared for next year, it's a year-round um, stream of current data. So you're able to monitor these locations, monitor horn growth year-round, sheds. Um, so it's those cameras are constantly being recovered. The data that they capture is being recovered, sorted, uploaded to the platform, and you have access to that. So that's the that major portion of having updated information is just constantly streaming in to the platform, so you can better plan for your next hunt for your scouting.
So how do you decide which game management units to do the research? Because you can't do them all. I mean, Colorado, there's over 200. I don't know in Utah how many game management units, but you think about that. Um, that's a lot of boots on the ground. That's a lot of hours, man hours, um,
It
to
is.
do that.
It's a large, very large undertaking for sure. And right now, with the current coverage we have about 158 units that we're gathering. That users are able to gather information from. Um, the bulk of it, and again, going back to our field team, who they're very very experienced. They know what they're doing, and when it comes to uh, researching units and putting, placing cameras in particular units, it's all based on whether or not they're holding game, if they're, providing any value to the user. So if a unit is not really holding much, not showing much, then we probably wouldn't focus on it, right? We
Right.
really just focus on whatever area is going to provide value for the user.
So interesting. So, folks, to recap a little bit here, and then we're going to ask Brendan some, more questions. But here's a tool that you can use 365 days a year that's going to be fresh as often as they refresh it. And then it's, smartphones and all technology applicable. They have their own app. So it's something that you can, no matter where you are, you can always tune in and say, I wonder what's going on here or whatever. Right? Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, exactly, and I said that's what's so new about it, and what's really cool, and we're excited about it is because of that. So, because depending on the locations, that's usually about a week or 2 weeks out from having that information updated into the platform. So, your typical trail camera time period, whether you have your own or not, you kind of have an idea that you leave it out for a period of time, and that's how it is, but on a mass scale. So you're able to analyze um, beforehand, before you're scouting, and get that unit research.
Now, for people that are interested, they go to scouttohunt.com. You get a free membership, free trial membership. What is the membership cost?
Yeah. So right now we have two subscriptions. One is the basic is called the Spotter, and the premium that we have currently is called the Tracker. And right now anybody who signs up, you're able to get the Tracker subscription, the premium for the basic price, which is $9.99 a month for 12 months, so for the year, but you can pay it monthly, or you can pay it all up front for the year of just only $99 uh, up front. And with that, you actually get 2 months free. So there's kind of an incentive, a benefit there for going for the year. But we also know that there's financial constraints, so we're able to allow that to be paid on a monthly basis throughout the whole year.
And what's your goal for the next 18 months as far as subscribers? How many subscribers are you looking for?
Well, that's a good question. It's not necessarily a goal of how many subscribers we want. We're just open to have whoever wants to use it, because we know how valuable it is. Um, so it's not really based on the quantity that we want, or a certain amount that we want. We just know from personal experience that it can be really tough to get boots on the ground when you need to, and it's unfortunate when you're not 100% confident in where to put in for draws during your unit research. So from personal experience, we've produced this tool for you to gain that confidence and efficiently use your time in that process.
So, folks, if you're sitting in Wisconsin or any place in the Midwest and looking to just start figuring out about this elk hunt and this elk hunting, specifically in Utah, northern Arizona, and Nevada, is that correct?
Yep, exactly. Utah, Eastern Nevada, and Northern Arizona are what we're currently at, and we're in the process of expanding as well.
So think about Scout to Hunt. I'll just go back to the regular screen now. We can stop screen sharing. There you go. So let's talk about your hunting. You know, Brandon's hunting and how you get into this. This whole business.
Yeah, that's a good question, Bruce. And that might be this might be a shock to you, as I'm not actually. And this is the reason why I'm not on the field team, is I don't really have a whole lot of experience hunting on my own. I'm more of just a general outdoors guy. I love backpacking. I'm from Idaho. I don't know if I stated that earlier. So it's just kind of in my blood. But the hunting experience actually comes from the partners in the company. They're the masterminds of this, who have been doing it with kind of a few years now. Big avid hunters in Utah and just in the West in general. But hunting experience on my end is limited, so I couldn't really answer that question for you.
Fair enough. So let's talk about the people that started this, the genesis of Scout to Hunt. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I mean, it really spawned from that the situation kind of that we've identified, where one of the owners, he's based out of Utah, and he had an elk hunt in I don't want to mix it up. It was either Arizona or New Mexico, one of those, and he wanted to gain that confidence. When we actually went to the hunt, he hadn't gotten enough information that he would want to be fully confident that he was going in the right areas. Just because, number one, the distance, and two, just the limited time to be able to go that far and acquire that information and research. So when he went to that hunt, he ended up being successful. It was I think it was, well, it was a mule deer hunt. I apologize. He's able to get a decent sized buck. I don't remember the size there, the points, but he knew what bothered him about it is he knew that he could have done a lot better after that hunt. He knew that if he had had more time or more resources to prepare for it, he would have been a lot more satisfied with that particular hunt. And that's kind of where the process of the thinking started coming through. Is I wonder if there's a tool that could be provided where we can gather the research we need for, again, going to the long distance constraints or time constraints, and overcome those obstacles. So when I actually go out and do boots on the ground, I'm fully prepared for my hunt and confident in the fact that I'm in the right direction.
Yeah, and I just think here in Colorado, we have a lot of data. I mean, really a lot of data, cow to calf ratio, and all the aspects of where the elk are hanging, where the mule deer are hanging. Mule deer are a little bit tougher because elk typically they're herd animal, and mule deer typically aren't, especially the big bucks. But you think about that, and you think about the ability to have somebody sitting up on a ridge with a spotting scope, setting up trail cameras. I love the idea because that would save a lot of people time. The thing is, just there's so much land out here. There
Yep.
really is, and you're doing it on public land, right? Not
100%
private.
yeah, no private land.
Yeah, and so that's the other crux, because you could have the wonderful setup, and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. You just get a sweet setup. You've hunted before, you know where the elk are, and then somebody comes in and just blows it up, and you're screwed. I mean, you literally are, because your whole hunt was based on it. Yeah, you got secondary places and stuff like that, but your main honey hole, your main basin, the main drainage, just got blown up, and that hurts. But that's hunting, public land hunting. Unless you get 10 miles away, well, 5 miles away from the trailhead, then it's not so bad. So how can Scout the Hunt, help that not happen, or is it just there's no way?
Yeah, that's a good question. And like you said, that's kind of when it comes to public land hunting, that's kind of the trade off that you deal with, right? Um, but what's really cool about the research that you can equip yourself with before you go out is kind of going back to that you have your secondary plans and whatnot. You're able to really narrow those down, so you do have those available, in your arsenal. But I guess from uh, the experience that our field team has and other hunters that we've talked to, going into those situations, it's always 100% better when you're fully confident of what you're doing, that you're in that right area and you're headed towards that buck that you're or bull, whatever it is, whatever type of game that you're searching for. Knowing that you're in that heading in the right direction because you prepared yourself with current data and you did all the planning for it. That I think that's what really will ultimately help you overcome some of those situations, because you're kind of putting yourself in the lead, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And backup plans, I'm thinking where I'm going to elk hunt this year. It's there's plenty of land there, and it's can you get in there? Yeah, but you can't take a Jeep in there. You can't take an ATV in there. You can't take a bike in there, or mountain bike in there. You have to walk in, and that's what I like. Because I got a buffer 3 miles around it that people have to walk in to get it, and and so I like that. But I know that there could possibly be some other people there. And given that case, okay, I get spot two and spot three, but I hate breaking camp.
Right. Yeah. I don't blame you.
Breaking camp, and that's the thing. So, again, I'm just wondering how this tool really could help. You got backup plan, and you say, okay, if this is gone, this base is gone, and I need to go over here, because we are restricted in some situations. You get, game management unit 501, and that's all you can hunt. You know, whatever's going to happen is in that unit. And sometimes that makes life interesting if things change dramatically. So it's all the flux and the change, and I'm trying to think, okay, how can Scout the Hunt help me, weather those storms, if you will.
Yeah, and that's a good question, and kind of just to flip that over to you. Um, how with basically what we were described, how do you think it would help you? How in your personal application, how would you think that would benefit you personally with your
Well,
type of strategy?
sure, if I was in Unit 501, I know my number one spot, my A spot. I know it 3.5, 4 miles, 5 miles away from any trailhead or any road. So and that's the type of places I look, because I don't want ATVs. Nothing wrong with ATVs, mountain bikes, Jeeps or whatever. But to get elk, I've learned through the years, the further away you get from people and noises, the better hunting you're going to have. Because you can stay in a herd of elk and just hunt the fringes and work them until you either shoot one or you don't get one. But you're always into elk. I was talking to a guy the other day. He said, well, you know, talk about your hunt, blah, blah. I said, I'll be in the elk. I can guarantee him I'll be in the elk. I can tell you within a square mile where the elk should be, you know, if nothing else has changed. So I'm thinking Scout the Hunt. Okay, so I got that. I'm in 501. I go, okay, I know this basin, Double Dog Basin. I know there's elk in there. I know people can't just ride their ATVs up there. They have to walk, and and a lot of people don't want to walk out at night, especially if they're not on a trail. They just don't want to do it. And it's painful. It can be very painful. You have to go slow, and it's just that's the way it is. But because of that, that keeps a lot of people out, or they'll leave way too early. sun doesn't go on to 6:30 or 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden, 5 o'clock, ooh, it's getting dusk. Got to get out of here. Fine, leave, and you'll never mix up the elk. I mean, you won't put a lot of pressure on them that way. So thinking about scout the hunt, answering questions, I see it as okay. I got double dog basin, and then I'm going to go 5, maybe 10 miles away to triple T Creek, and then if they're not in there, then I might get one more thing place, Box Canyon. So I got three places within 20 miles, 30 miles of each other um, that have the aspects that I want. Okay, no roads, no ATVs, no Jeeps. I drive a big Ford F-150, and I take that as far as I can go, and then I shut her down, set up my camp, and that's where it sits. Until I'm ready to get out. And so, I just think possibly scout the hunt. If you had a, I'm thinking just your app. If you had an app, you go, okay, one is, position one is, basin one, location one. Then you go, okay, within that confines of 5, 10, 15, even 30 miles, that isn't too far to go. And there's places, a lot of game management units, you can go 30 miles. And then, but you set up the criteria that you type in, okay, I want to be, 3 to 5 miles from any trailhead, from any, road access. Then I need terrain that I can manage, because some of the, especially Colorado, some of the stuff I've sheep hunted and stuff like that. It'll kick your butt. I mean, it can kill you too. That's the other part.
Yeah.
And so, elk hunting isn't like sheep hunting. And so you want to be able to, one, if you get an elk or when you get your elk, how the heck you get them out? You break them down into parts. So you start throwing all this real time factors into your equation, into your algorithm, and you throw it in there and say, okay, here's how we can do a game plan. I'd call it, elk plan number 101, and I charge people for it. Not myself. I'm speaking rhetorically here, but with Scout to Hunt, I would build game plans for them because you got boots on the ground. You got smart people. They know their places as well as I know my places. And so when you think about that, you could build an algorithm that takes all the data, throws it in. You just answer 10 questions, then you get a hunt plan. And and that's my 2 cents. Sitting here, with my breadth of knowledge.
Yeah, no, and that's an interesting point. And I guess to clarify, Bruce, because that what you talked about is kind of um, it's a little different than what we have and what Scout to Hunt is used for. How hunters can apply that. But that was a really interesting idea. That maybe some features that could be included down the road. But as you were talking though, because I mean, I guess going just kind of step back a little bit, but um, the main thing with Scout to Hunt is it's it helps you prepare for that planning, right? Because part of the best thing of hunting is really doing the planning and figuring that out and going through the hard work to make that happen. That's where the satisfaction comes from. But sometimes we know we just need a little more data to get those plans in place. And that's kind of where Scout to Hunt comes in as a tool to provide that hard data so you can become or so you can start establishing a game plan from there and helping you plan for boots on the ground. But you did highlight a point there where you have your preferred locations, kind of how you're saying that you typically want to look for, and we all know that. And as we had talked about before the show, um, things change. They can always change. A year later, it could be a whole different situation, different environment, and so you might have your preferred locations, but without having solid hard data, you might not be going into a situation that you'll recognize because the environment has changed. And that's where Scout to Hunt can be a aid as you're monitoring some of these units throughout the year. You're able to keep track of the weather and the trends. You're able to keep track of again horn growth and other things So you can keep an eye on those preferred locations and determine whether or not you want to go to another unit that might be holding better game from what you're analyzing, or continue to go to the unit that you or area that you relied on because it's still showing some positive information. So again, it's still broad, it's still ambiguous, but it's up to date, and that's what really helps with the unit information is you're able to base your planning and plan your scouting on current information rather than information that might not be relevant because it's changed over the year.
No, I like your synopsis and thanks for taking notes. I must have said something worthwhile. But folks, the elk season's coming up really quick here in Colorado, and I welcome any of you guys and gals, hunt the West, Montana, Wyoming, Nevada. Nevada's tough to get into. As far as I know, I've never hunted in Nevada. Utah is a great state. There's some great bulls, and northern Arizona, there's some huge bulls. And my last name is Hutchinson, and there's a place in northern Arizona called Hutch Mountain. So that's a great place, but it's tough to draw tags, and that's the other thing. And I kind of want to wrap up with this. If you want to hunt a premier or a premium area, you got to apply. And I know Garth Carter used to talk about that at Hunt and Foo. Apply, apply, apply. Because if you don't apply, I can guarantee you 100% you will never draw. But if you apply, then you have the opportunity. Because I know everybody out there loves to hunt whitetails, but if you have a bull 20 yards from you screaming his head off, and it's just the perfect setting in the Rockies. There's nothing like it. And I wish that all my friends out here in whitetail rendezvous land could experience that. It's just thrill of a lifetime, and you can have bulls within 20 yards and you can't shoot them because of the cover and the terrain and a gazillion different reasons. You can't shoot them, but it's still fun from my standpoint, just to be up close and personal with a herd of elk and have them screaming and chirping and mewing. There's nothing like it. Your thoughts?
Right. Yeah, no, and I'm glad you kind of referenced your audience. Again, this is mainly focused on whitetails and everything, and scout to hunt might be your step towards getting into big western hunting. Obviously, there's those barriers of distance, time, and the finances that go into preparing for a hunt that's 2-3 states away. With Scout to Hunt, you'll be able to overcome that barrier, at least to a point where you know where to focus on and where to apply your limited resources. So you're headed in the right direction from the beginning, and you have that confidence. Again, that hard proof, that data that you can see and that you know for sure. So you know that you really are headed in the right direction, and that might be a big help for those who do plan to go in the West and just haven't had the chance to because they don't have that confidence. Scout to Hunt will definitely help you gain that.
Well, folks, that's going to be a wrap. So this is Bruce Hutchin, the host and executive producer, thanking Branden Labrum from Scout to Hunt for being our guest on the show and sharing some interesting tips and tools and techniques that you can use technology to get yourself on the ground with their application. Branden, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate it.
On the next show, we're heading down to Montevallo, Alabama, and we're going to visit with my good friend William Crawford, who's the director of the President's Outdoor Scholars Program at the University of Montevallo. Having said that, William has crafted an unbelievable outdoor curriculum for kids who just love the outdoors but can't seem to put it together in college, can't find the right curriculum. So Montevallo is a liberal arts school. And with that, Dr. Stewart, the president of the university, came to William and said, hey, what if we did this? And they're starting a curriculum that's unique throughout the country about the outdoors, everything about the outdoors, anything you're thinking, gee, I wish I had known that when I was going to college or sooner. They're teaching the kids about habitat, about food plots, about marketing, about the outdoor industry. All these things rolled up into one. President's Outdoor Scholars Program. I'm sure you're going to love
Thanks
the
for
show.
joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.